So in the last class, we were discussing about the time response and different time domain specifications. In today's lesson, we will derive the unit step response for an underdamped second order system and hence the different time domain specifications for an underdamped second order system, like the rise time, the settling time, peak time, overshoot, etc. That is the agenda for today's class. Okay, so second order underdamped time response and time domain specifications. So we know that an underdamped second order system means the damping ratio zeta lies between 0 and 1. Okay, the damping ratio zeta lies between 0 and 1, and hence the poles will be having negative real parts and with complex conjugate roots. Okay, they are complex conjugate roots with negative real parts as shown here. You can see in the explain what's the pole zero map. Okay, the real part is minus zeta omega n, imaginary parts are plus j omega in root of 1 minus zeta square and minus j omega in root of 1 minus zeta square. Okay, our aim is to find the unit step response for this underdamped second order system. Okay, so under step response means input must be a step input. So R of t must be equal to 1. So what will be R of s? R of s will be equal to 1 by s. Okay, so my aim is to find what is the unit step response or C of t when R of t is equal to 1. Okay, so what will be C of s? It is obvious. This transfer function omega n square by s square plus 2 zeta omega n plus omega n square into R of s, which is 1 by s. So that is what is written here. C of s equals R of s into this transfer function. But what is R of s? It is 1 by s. So 1 by s into blah blah blah. So how will we proceed further? We have to go for partial fractions. How can we take this in partial fraction form? We know that the roots are complex conjugate. So this will be a by s plus, since the roots are complex conjugate, bs plus c whole divided by s square plus blah blah blah. Okay, like this. Okay, so on the left hand side we have omega n square by s into s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. Okay, this should be equal to what? A by s plus bs plus c whole divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. Okay, how can we solve for a, b and c? You multiply both sides with the denominator. So you will get omega n square equal to what? A into s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square plus bs plus c into what? Into s. Okay, now we equate the like terms. Say coefficients of the constant term or s raised to 0 term. Left hand side we have omega n square. Right side we have a into omega n square, which means a is equal to 1. Okay, now we equate the coefficient of s raised to 1 term. Left hand side 0. Right side we have 2 zeta omega n a plus c, which means c is equal to minus 2 zeta omega n. S square term, left hand side 0, right hand side what will we have? A plus b, which means b equals minus 1. Okay, 2 zeta omega n a plus c, a plus b, correct? So I can write this as what? A by s, instead of a by s, 1 by s plus what is b? B is minus 1. So minus s, c is minus 2 zeta omega n whole divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. Minus sign is common here. I can take it outside. 1 by s minus of s plus 2 zeta omega n whole divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. Okay, that is what you are seeing here. Right? 1 by s minus of s plus 2 zeta omega n whole divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. Agreed? Now, what is L inverse 1 by s? It is 1. We know. What is L inverse this thing? L inverse s plus 2 zeta omega n by blah blah blah. It is still not in inverse Laplace transformable form. Okay. So we are going to convert this into that form. Compatible so that you can take the Laplace inverse Laplace transform. So let me write this as say a square plus 2ab. Okay, and compare. What is a here? A is s. Okay, And what is 2ab? 2ab means 2 into s into b will be equal to what? 2 zeta omega ns. Okay. So 2s gets cancelled. That means b is equal to zeta omega n. So my aim is to complete the squares in this denominator. Okay. Here I have to complete the square, right? For which I will add and subtract zeta square omega n square. Okay. I will add and subtract zeta square omega n square. Correct. Now what happens? This is of the form s square plus 2 zeta omega n plus zeta square omega n square, which is nothing but s plus zeta omega n whole square. Okay, s square plus 2s zeta omega n ns plus zeta square omega n square. Right? What are we left out with? Omega n square minus zeta square omega n square. Okay. If you remember, we had defined a term omega d as omega n into root of 1 minus zeta square. So what will be omega d square? It will be omega n square into 1 minus zeta square. So this part will become what? Omega d square. That's what you are seeing here. 1 by s minus, this will be s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega d square. Okay. That is what is written here. There is no other change. Okay. Now, L inverse 1 by s is 1. This is still not in standard inverse Laplace transformable form. Okay. So we have to do a little bit of manipulation. What will you do? So here, I will split this part into two. I will take one part as s plus zeta omega n and the other part as zeta omega n. Okay. So I can write this as 1 by s minus s plus zeta omega n by this denominator minus the remaining part, zeta omega n divided by this part. What is L inverse this term? Any idea? L of cos omega t. Cos omega t, what is that? S divided by s square plus omega square. Okay. Suppose you have L of e raised to minus at cos omega t. Then what happens? Wherever you find s, replace s with s plus a. Okay. L of cos omega t is s by this thing. So it becomes s plus a whole divided by s plus a whole square plus omega square. Okay. So this is nothing but e raised to minus zeta omega nt cos omega dt. Okay, e raised to minus zeta omega nt cos omega dt. And L inverse this thing is 1. But L inverse this still not yet in standard form. So to bring in standard form, what I will do? I will divide and multiply with omega d. Omega d divided by omega d. Okay, there's no change because I am multiplying dividing with the same quantity. So there will be no change, right? Now, this I will take it separately. That is what is shown here. Okay, minus zeta omega n by minus zeta omega n by omega d into remaining part. What is that? Omega d divided by s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega d square. What is L inverse this thing? This is of the form L of e raised to minus at sin omega t. Okay, what is that? What is L of sin omega t? L of sin omega t is omega divided by s square plus a square, s square plus omega square. So since e raised to minus 8 is appearing together with sin omega t, replace s with s plus a. So you get s plus a whole square plus omega square. So this will be what? E raised to minus zeta omega nt sin omega dt. Okay. So now we can take the inverse Laplace transform. You get 1 minus e raised to minus zeta omega nt cos omega dt, right? Cos omega dt minus zeta omega n by omega d, which we took it out separately here. Here we have took it out separately, right? Into e raised to minus zeta omega nt sin of omega dt. Okay. Now what is omega dt? I can write this as 1 minus e raised to minus zeta omega nt into cos omega dt minus. So this becomes zeta omega n by root of 1 minus zeta square omega n. What is omega d? Omega d is omega n into root of 1 minus zeta square. Okay. Into what? E raised to minus zeta omega nt sin omega dt. Okay. 1 omega and 1 omega is cancelled. Right. So what happens? Now I will, as the next step, I will take minus e raised to minus omega nt by root of 1 minus zeta square as a common factor. Okay. So when you take that, what will you get? You will get 1 minus e raised to minus theta omega nt by root of 1 minus theta square into, so here root of 1 minus theta square is missing. So root of 1 minus theta square into cos omega dt plus what? Plus, so remaining part is zeta here. Zeta sin omega dt. Okay, that is what is shown here. Okay, 1 minus e raised to minus theta omega nt by root of 1 minus theta square into root of 1 minus theta square into cos omega dt plus zeta sin omega dt. Okay, just rearrange it. Sin omega dt into zeta plus cos omega dt into root of 1 minus theta square. Okay. Now these are the location of the complex conjugate poles, close to poles, right? Minus theta omega n plus j omega n root of 1 minus theta square minus j omega root of 1 minus theta square. Let this angle be theta. Okay. What is sin theta from here? What is sin theta? Opposite side by hypotenuse. What is opposite side? Opposite side means this height. Okay. This height is omega n into root of 1 minus theta square. That's opposite side by hypotenuse. What is hypotenuse? Hypotenuse is omega n. That means sin theta is root of 1 minus theta square. What is cos theta from this triangle? Adjacent side. Adjacent side means this height. This length is theta omega n divided by hypotenuse is omega n. That means cos theta is theta. And what will be tan theta? Sin theta by cos theta. That means root of 1 minus theta square divided by theta. Okay. So instead of sin theta, instead of root of 1 minus theta square, I can write sin theta here. Okay. So this is sin theta, and instead of theta, I can write cos theta. Okay. That is what is shown here. Right? Sin omega dt cos theta plus cos omega dt sin theta. This is of the form sin A cos B plus cos A sin B. What is that? Sin of A plus B. Okay. So this term can be written as sin of omega dt plus theta. What is theta? Theta will be tan inverse root of 1 minus theta square by theta. What will be the unit of theta? Degrees? No. Unit of theta is in radians, because you see omega d is radians per second into time. So you will get radians only here. So to be compatible, theta has to be in radians. Okay. So this is the unit step response of an underdamped second order system. 1 minus e raised to minus omega nt, e raised to minus theta omega nt divided by root of 1 minus theta square into sin omega dt plus theta, where theta is tan inverse root of 1 minus theta square by theta. Okay, this is how to derive the unit step response for an underdamped second order system. So if you do a plot of this output C of t, you will get something like this. Okay, output will be like this. It will be starting from 0, it will shoot up, it will come down, then again it will shoot up, and so on, and finally it will be settling down. Okay, so keep in mind, as I said before, mathematically the transients will die out only at t equal to infinity. Okay, but in practical sense, we cannot wait for infinite time, right? So after some time, this response will reach and stay within a band, tolerance band. Okay, it may be oscillating within the tolerance band. Okay, but once it has reached that tolerance band and it stays within that, we can assume that the transients have died out. Okay, and we are getting the steady state part. Okay, that time is called the settling time. Okay, what is rise time? Rise time is the time taken by the curve, by the output, to rise from 0 to 100% of the final value. Okay, so this is the rise time. What is peak time? Peak time is the time taken by the response to reach the peak value. Okay, and this difference is what is overshoot. Okay, and this is settling time. So we have to derive now these expressions for the underdamped second order system. So as I said before, rise time means at t equal to tr, the output must be equal to 1. So when t equal to tr, output must be equal to 1. That means 1 must be equal to what? 1 minus e raised to minus omega and tr divided by this thing, sin omega d tr plus theta. Okay. So at t equal to tr, c of tr is equal to 1. So equal to 1. So this one gets cancelled, right? Which means e raised to minus zeta omega and tr by root of 1 minus theta square sin omega tr plus theta must be equal to 0. So e raised to minus omega n tr is the finite quantity because rise time is a finite quantity, maybe 0.2 seconds, something like that. Okay. So this is not 0. That means sine of omega dtr plus theta must be equal to 0, which means, what does it mean? It means that omega dtr plus theta must be equal to pi, 180 degrees. Okay. So what will be rise time tr from this? Pi minus theta divided by omega d, where theta is what? Tan inverse root of 1 minus theta square by theta. That will be the rise time for an underdamped second order system. Okay. You have to remember these expressions. That's important. Rise time tr is pi minus theta divided by omega d. Now coming to peak time. Okay, peak time means what? The time taken for the maximum point. Okay, if you have a function f of x, how will you find the maximum of the function? Differentiate that function. Okay, so at t equal to tp, what is the unit step response? C of t is 1 minus e raised to minus theta omega in t by root of 1 minus theta square into sine omega dt plus theta. Okay, so at t equal to tp, right? The function is maximum. That means the derivative at that t equal to tp must be equal to 0. So you differentiate that. So you put 1 minus e raised to minus zeta omega in tp by 1 minus root of 1 zeta square sine omega dtp plus theta. Differentiate that. Okay. When you differentiate that, you will get an expression of this kind, and eventually you will get tp as pi divided by omega d. What is omega d? That the damped frequency. Omega d is omega n into root of 1 minus theta square. Okay. So what was rise time? Pi minus theta by omega d. Correct? Pi minus theta by omega d. What is peak time? Peak time is pi by omega d. Now how will you find peak overshoot? What is the percentage overshoot? It is CTP, the peak value. Remember, if you look at this curve graph, this was CTP. This is the maximum value of the curve, C of TP. This is CT, C of T, output versus time T. Okay, so C of TP is this value, right? C of TP minus 1. 1 is the steady state value. Okay, so we are seeing that percentage overshoot is defined as C of TP minus C of infinity divided by C of infinity. Okay, what is C of infinity here? C of infinity must be 1. So this becomes C of TP minus 1 divided by 1 into 100%. Okay, so when you find peak time, peak overshoot, this is the unit step response, 1 minus e raised to minus zeta omega n t by blah blah blah. Okay, so at t equal to infinity, what happens? C of infinity is 1. Okay, so you can substitute for TP. What is TP? Pi by omega d. Okay, so it becomes 1 minus e raised to pi by omega. So what is TP? TP is minus theta omega into TP, pi by omega n into root of 1 minus theta square. Omega and omega gets cancelled. So you get e raised to minus pi theta by root of 1 minus theta square whole divided by root of 1 minus theta square into sine omega d into TP. TP is pi by omega d. So this omega d is cancelled. You get sine of pi plus theta. Okay. So from which sine of pi plus theta becomes equal to minus sine theta. And sine theta, we know it is root of 1 minus theta square. So if you substitute here sine theta, what will you get? You will get simply 1 plus e raised to minus pi theta by root of 1 minus theta square. What is that? That will be the maximum output value, C of TP. Now what is percentage overshoot? CTP minus C infinity. C infinity is 1 divided by 1. So 1 plus e raised to minus pi theta by blah 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 minus 1 whole divided by 1 into 100%. Or your percentage overshoot becomes e raised to minus pi theta whole divided by root of 1 minus theta square into 100. Okay, so what was rise time? Pi minus theta by omega d. What was peak time? Pi by omega d. What is peak overshoot? E raised to minus pi theta divided by root of 1 minus theta square into 100. Right? Now the last one, it is settling time. Right? So as I said before, settling time has two components. What was the unit step response? 1 minus e raised to minus theta omega in t by root of 1 minus theta square into sine omega dt plus theta. Okay. So the transient part has two components. One is the exponential decay, and the second one is the sinusoidal term. Okay. So the sum of the two, or the cumulative effect of the two, will produce an output of this kind. Okay. The damped, exponentially damped sinusoid. Okay, so these two red color envelopes you can see, they come from the exponential damping term. Okay, and the sinusoidal term is because of the sine term, right? So you can see that settling time is basically determined by the exponential term. Okay, so what you can do, you can equate you can find the settling time. How? By equating the exponential component to the percentage tolerance error. Okay, so there are in the literature there are two commonly used tolerance error. One is 2% tolerance error, right? So equate the exponential term to the 0.02. Okay, so e raised to minus omega in ts at settling time divided by root of 1 minus theta square must be 0.02. Okay, now if theta is very small, say theta is 0.01, what happens to theta square? It will be even smaller, 0.0001. Okay, so that means e raised to minus, so this becomes close to 1. So e raised to minus omega and ts equal to 0.02, which implies settling time is equal to 4 divided by theta omega n. Keep in mind that is for 2% tolerance error. Okay, so settling time for 2% error criterion is 4 divided by zeta omega n. What is zeta omega n? It is the real part of the complex pole. Correct? What is the complex pole? Minus theta omega n plus minus j omega n into root of 1 minus theta square. Okay, so settling time is determined by the real part of the complex conjugate pole. 2% error, right? There is one more, and that is called 5% tolerance error. Okay, so equate the exponential term to 5% error. You will get settling time as 3 divided by zeta omega n. Okay, so these are the different time domain specifications. So to summarize, what is the unit step response for the underdamped second order system? 1 minus e raised to minus theta omega in t divided by root of 1 minus theta square into sine of omega dt plus theta, where theta is tan inverse root of 1 minus theta square by zeta. Then how will you find the rise time? Pi minus theta by omega d. What is theta? Tan inverse root of 1 minus theta square divided by zeta. What is peak time Tp? Pi by omega d. What is omega d? Omega n into root of 1 minus theta square. What is peak overshoot? E raised to minus pi zeta divided by root of 1 minus zeta square. What is settling time? So for 2% settling time, we have 4 by zeta omega n. And for 5% tolerance error or tolerance band, we have settling time as 3 divided by zeta omega n. Okay. So what did we do? What did we do today in today's lesson? So we had tried to derive the unit step response for an underdamped second order system. We have also derived the time domain specifications for the given underdamped second order system. Okay, so we'll stop here for the day. Thank you.